Welcome to Study Loop.
Alright, welcome back. So this problem will be writing a piece of code that takes input from the user, then prints out the number of times that it occurs. Alright, so to start with, we're going to actually create a list, and we'll call it numList. It's just going to be an empty list for now. And then we're going to get input from the user, so we'll call that string. It's going to be equal to whatever the input the user gives us. So we'll say enter integers between 1 and 100. And then, alright, so when the user enters input, hopefully they'll input numbers, and then put spaces between those numbers. So right now, as this is, the input is going to basically look like a string to the computer. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually divide this string up wherever the spaces are. So take a space. The spaces are going to break up where the each element of the list is. To do that, we're going to use something called split. All right. Now we need to convert, since this is still a list of strings, they're number strings. Or each string is a number, but we need to convert that from a string into a number. So to do that, we're going to operate on this list, and we're going to do for I in range, and then the length of this list, and then we're gonna say number list. We're gonna append to it the integer form of each element in that list. It's just gonna index to that list and append each element not as a string, but as an integer. All right, we're gonna make a new variable here. Because we need to be able to count the number of occurrences. We'll set it equal to 0 for now. All right. Now we need to iterate through the list the user has given us and count how many of each element there are. So we're going to start with since we've limited our user input to be between 1 and 100, we'll just say for I, in range from 1 to 101. Reason for that is because it will count up to one lower than the actual size of the list. If we didn't know the maximal number, we could say 1 and then set it to equal, or the upper limit to be the maximum value in the list. But for this example, we'll just set it to be stop at 100. And then we want it to iterate through the list too. So for I in range, this will be for j in range. And we don't know how long the list is, so we'll just say the length of numList. So if numList, and then the element we're looking at in that list is equal to whatever number we're iterating through here, which is I, then we're gonna just add 1 to our counter right here. So counter is equal to counter plus 1. All right, so it's going to iterate through that, and after it counts up the number of, for example, the number of ones in the list, then we want it to print out how many ones there are in the list. So if there are no ones in the list, so if counter, well, if there's no ones in the list, we're just going to basically ignore it, right? But if it there is an element in the list, then if it does not equal 0, if counter is equal to 1, equal to 1, then we wanted to print out print string of I plus space there occurs one time. All right, if there's more than one element, so we'll just say else. So that would make it so it can't be 0, it can't be 1, so it's something equal to 2 or greater. Then we're going to print a string of whatever number it is, string I plus occurs, and then we're going to add our counter here, counter, oops, that should be the string of the counter, right? String counter plus times. I'm running out of space there. All right. And then at the end of that, we want to reset our counter to 0 so we can see how many 2's there are on the list. So I'm going to go back here. So then we're going to set the counter is equal to 0. And then it will iterate through all the 2's, all the 3's, all the way up to 100. By the end of that, we'll have a nice list of how many occurrences there are.